Tuesday, everyone, and welcome back to the Krown's magical crypto cave.
Oh, well. Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. My God, thank you for the introduction. Beautiful Elsa right over there. And as always, want to wish you a very happy and relaxing and profitable start to your Tuesday. I believe it is Tuesday at least, so Taco Tuesday for you, Taco Tuesday for me, except I don't even fucking talk, so I just eat the meat inside. Anyways, with all that said, we got plenty to talk about as Bitcoin's actually taking the northern road, as we spoke about yesterday, so targets being hit and new targets to follow. And on top of that, we have some nice opportunities to plays be made right in front of our very eyes right here, right now. So with all that said, I do want to wish you the best, the happiest of the happiest as I sit here with now the window in my face so we actually have some light on this bitch. And let's initiate that good old teleportation and see what's going on in the good old live scene as we have initiated right over here on Bitstamp. We do see Bitcoin on the daily pestering itself every higher and higher and really looking constructive within this region. Of course, with all that said, Bitcoin taking that next leg up towards our next targets of about 11,400 and then 11,700. This is all being based off of the lower time frame, so I'm just going to quickly subside and start off with the lower time frame today, actually. And we can see right over here on our BitMexican chart that Bitcoin did break the range, did close above on a 2-hour dildo time frame above that 11,150 pivot right over here. And now we're going to get in that continuation that we were talking about earlier yesterday. So first target was hit at about 11,150, and now because we've actually taken out this area to the upside, I would say that the next measure move is essentially what I'm looking for now. To confirm this, I would say that we have a measure move pointing us right around about 11,700, give or take a few bucks. Never going to be super exact with these sorts of things. They're not intended to be, but they are supposed to get you in the ballpark. So looking at this, yes, we do have some things pointing higher, but keep in mind that if we go back on over here to our GDAX chart, if we go back on over here to our GDAX chart, we do see that from historical standpoint, from a long-term standpoint, we do have a major area of consideration staring us right in the face. So while we do have a measured move pointing us higher towards, again, 11.7, we actually do have the 0.5 Fibonacci retracement from the ultimate high to the ultimate low of this past cycle staring us right in the eyes, pretty much at our current area at about 11,300, 11,400, depending upon if you use wicks or dildo bodies. I suppose a margin of error would put us right around about 11,500, but keep in mind that there are some major things coming around this area, and that is my point, is that it is a little bit of a cautionary-ish area, because statistically speaking, a lot of the time when you do retrace back to the 0.5, it will get picked up, and we will see a little bit of counter trend pressure here, just by the nature that the way the bots and algos are programmed in the market, essentially. Nothing more than that, and of course that is why I'd rather be a little bit more cautious here. Obviously, this is also our prior top from February 2018, the double top right around about 11,500 as well. So a few structural things coming around this area, which does make me want to be a little bit more on the subdued side. Now, for full disclosure, I actually have exposed myself to the long side once again. I took profit on my options positions, and then I basically have these guys running long. But I will take this position off if we do head back down below what is it, about 11,150? Yeah, below this trend line right over here. If we crack this guy to the downside, even closing hourly dildo below there, even just tick below really about 11,100, I'll basically close this off once again. I suppose it'd be a little bit of profit right there, but overall, I'm here to play the next trending move, which looks like we're staring at right in the face right here, right now. Looking at our lower time frame oscillators, we do see 2-hour Stokes still upwards and onwards. I want to check out the hourly as well. They're going to be upwards and onwards as well. And let's go to the 4-hour, which are going to have a fresh cross up to the upside, also defending the edge of the bullish control zone. So all of the lower time frames kind of agreeing with each other, and I really like to see. And when I was focusing on the 2-hour, which is what we use to define that last little range right there. And what's up on Twitch? Thank you for following on Twitch. AMA, good to meet you, man. Ask me anything. Is that what it stands for? Maybe, but nobody knows. Anyways, we were making that range on the 2-hour dildo time frame, so that's the range what I really be focusing on. So I really like how the 1-hour, 2-hour, and 4-hour momentum oscillators are all agreeing with each other. Not only that, but 4-hour RSI looking constructive within this region. Yes, it's going to be creating some bearish divergence, no doubt about that. As Bitcoin has a massive girthy grand dildo above 11,440, it looks like. Nice little tick there on BitMexico. The liquidation engine really getting going. But we have regained the exponential moving average right over here. We are going to be working on some bearish divergence, but of course, as we've been speaking about for the past, Jesus Christ, man, for the past, how long is this now? For the past couple weeks, divergence is extremely important. It is very, very powerful, but it's extremely important to confirm local highs or local lows in the case of bullish divergence before denoting something as as like an actual case. And right now, while we just have continuation, even though at some point, yes, yes, probably does create some divergence here, but for now, still continuation as we do head ourselves higher. And lower time frames looking like they want some more continuation to meet. I haven't really checked on the medium time frames. We have a fresh look right now. 8-hour Stoch's going to be upwards and onwards. Actually, we do see a very obvious trend line forming all the way back on over here. So I would be looking for a little bit of, well, I mean, we basically just hit it. And again, just kind of, still respecting that. And that is the big important part right there. 12-hour Stoch's right over here, actually looking like they want to cross back up to the upside. This is one of those things where it'll really throw off the newer people who look at these momentum oscillators, because intuitively, just like me when I first started, you'd think that when you get onto the super high level, this is bad and we have to come down. And guys, we have divergence. The Stoch's are high. They're way too high. They can't go higher, bro. So these things must come down right now. The volume's also low as well, so we definitely can't float up anymore. No, of course not. All these things just become memes. And this is actually a strong signature here. You will get a signature like this during a strong trend. And of course, this just on the same side of that saying, the trend is your friend until the end of the trend. And this guy looks like he wants to cross back up to the upside. And again, the crosses on the same side of the macro trend have been pretty damn powerful. So still looking okay for a little bit more right here. And daily hasn't even had a chance to really cross down. Although we are in an area where, historically speaking, don't like to stay here for too long. In fact, very rarely do we spend a lot of time in this region. Last time was in actually 2017, but you can see that Bitcoin is still hanging it high, still technically to the upside, but is going to be putting a little bit of pressure on it. Daily Jewel is firing off a little bit of a warning right now. This is not a sell signal at all whatsoever. This is in no way, shape, or form how the Jewel is intended to be used, but it is a little bit of a warning signal with the red being flashed in the background, saying that a potential setup might happen, maybe in the next week or two. Which, how much damage can Bitcoin do on price action before that actually gives a legitimate signal? Well, a lot. That's the whole thing. Of course, 2-day dildo time frame right over here. We see just about every time frame Stoch's actually up right now. 2-day Stoch's up as well. But remember, they are in the more critical zone. Don't get me wrong about that. It certainly is an area to be a little bit more cautious than not. And 3-day we have the same thing as well. In fact, 3-day even a little bit more aggressive, but same sort of thing right over there. Historically speaking, we don't like to stay there for too long before having a little bit of at the very least, a little bit of a correction. So that's really what I want to get at right now. Just all the time frames are agreeing with each other, but we are essentially in an area of caution with the higher time frames. So I wouldn't be getting too damn aggressive within this region. I do think that, well, we just hit 11,400. That was kind of like the first target on that move. The more conservative target, the less conservative target, the more aggressive target would be about 11,700, and a little bit more of an optimistic target, I suppose, would be about 12,000. But for right now, Bitcoin actually still hanging it high, still looking okay to me. And even though we did take up all the way to, I'm sorry, we did not take up to 11,440. I don't know where I got that number from. I can see very clearly right here is only 11,399 and a half. Yeah, okay, that's fine. But overall, this breakout is in my opinion safe as long as we're above this breakout trend line right over here at about 11,150, kind of the same area that I used to judge if we were going to break out or not. And we do see that volume on this breakout wouldn't be too confidence inducing. And the reason why I say that after going on a whole tirade about the volume fuckboys is that usually when I see a nice orderly drop off in volume like this, it's indicative of a consolidation. And when you actually break out, I want to see a spike up in volume, kind of above the mean, above the median for what we've been looking at during the consolidation. And so we don't necessarily have that right now. It doesn't mean that it can't happen. We're still kind of relatively early within this. In fact, I believe we're still on the first 4-hour dildo of this breakout. Yeah, you can actually see it perfectly right over here. So a little bit early to be judging it. In fact, I'd still give it another few hours, but for now, still just floating up. And I do want to check out the historical volatility percentile. Yes, we do see historical volatility percentile is actually quite low right now, so we do have some juice to go. We actually do have some rocket fuel here if Bitcoin does want to do it from the lower time frame perspective. So we do see. So again, to kind of wrap things up, we see everything. We see all the momentum oscillators agreeing with each other. The thing is, though, is that from the long term perspective, we are in an area of major resistance, and statistically speaking, you do see a lot of counter amount of trend pressure along, along the 0.5 Fibonacci retracement. In fact, it's quite a high percentage. I believe somewhere between 40 and 50%, if I recall correctly. So again, I do have a little bit of a difficult time being super gung-ho bullish right here, just as long as we're below this pivot on the market. And that's really the best way that I can relate this idea. I see this as a pivot on the market. Yes, it doesn't mean that Bitcoin can't get back above it, but it does mean that if Bitcoin does get above this and does reclaim this area and does start closing higher level dildos above the 0.5 retracement and also above, consequently also above this former high right over here, then I do believe that Bitcoin likely accelerates its way much further and above. We have seen continuation from the Trollinger Band's perspective going on right over here. You do see this is what we spoke about coming into this week, saying that we were likely to get some continuation, which we've now technically got, and we do have new highs on the year once again, making new highs each and every hour. It's what it seems like, and we are trending outside the top Trollinger Band. So that would be kind of the secondary thing that I'd be looking at. I'm not really willing to call a top on this rally from a more long-term perspective, or sorry, not long-term, but perhaps medium-term is the right terminology here. Until we actually close a weekly dildo below the top Trollinger Band, then I'd be looking for some consolidation and likely a nice, some nice down movements, perhaps down to about 10,000, maybe 9,500, somewhere in that region. But for right now, you can see that we're still very healthy above. And of course, this is to be judged on a weekly dildo closing basis, which is Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. If we can close above that area once again, then I'd still be looking for the same thing, just like at the end of 2017, right over here, we were pushing these top Trollinger Bands, and right over here, and in earlier 2017, you get that during very, very strong trending moves, and it just says that statistically speaking, we're more likely to continue that trending to the upside. Just like right over here, pushing it to the downside, it wasn't until we closed our first dildo above the bottom Trollinger Band that the bottom was actually put in, and now we have a similar signature, but to the upside once again right over here. So that's kind of my general disposition from the weekly time frame perspective. The Trollinger Bands have actually been pretty damn good for Bitcoin for the last couple of years, especially on the weekly, not necessarily on the other I don't really care about it on the other time frames, but on the weekly it does seem to hold some merit, and especially with the trending moves. And that's another metric that I use to kind of judge and keep myself in these longer trending trades, of which I've been holding a lot of these guys since this 3930 position since it must have been February, it was all the way over here, sorry, it was right here. So this was middle of March, so March, April, May, June, July. Yeah, so we're working on 3 or 4 months now. So it's been quite some time, and I don't really have any reason to let go of it anytime soon. A lot of people have been asking me when am I going to be closing these positions. I don't really think of it that way. I do it with options. If I want to close something, if I want to take profit, I'll do it with options. I'll sell some calls against do something like that, and that gives me more bad word to be using, but more options to manage in the future with options, the derivative products. Anyways, with regards to the weekly, we do see weekly stocks still up. Literally every time frame is up, but they're all in the critical zone, which again is okay. You can expect that during the strong trending moves, but also a warning sign as we do approach major resistances as well. That's kind of the catch-22 with this one right now, is that yes, I would be bullish on just about every time frame, but how bullish can I be when we're staring macro resistance right in the face to the tune of about 11? Again, I'll just say it's 11,500, but understand it's a range. Let's just call it between about 11,004 and 11,007 is kind of where that area is. If we can start to close dailies, 2 days, 3 days, weeklies above that area, above this hump right here, I'm going to get very, very bullish once again, because looking at our volume profile, we do see very clearly that this is the kind of like the last Mohicans for this pivot on the market. Also agreeing with this 11,500ish region, and above that area you can see that there's extremely low market acceptance, which is going to imply that we're going to absolutely just fucking shred that area up if Bitcoin can get above this hump right over here. So it's more of an if and type statement, but if that can happen, we will enter into a new phase. You're going to see Bitcoin having those even more violent moves, even more volatile spreads. It's going to get fucking crazy once again. I'm sure that you remembered just right over here in late 2017, early 2018, Bitcoin was ripping every day, like thousands of dollars. I mean, holy fucking shit, man. Look at this massive dildo right here. Sorry, it's not even the right one. Let's go to a daily. This is a daily. I'm on a daily time frame right here, and let's get rid of hey, bastard, come on, get off there. Stop embarrassing me. I embarrassed myself enough already. But right over here we see in late 2017, yeah, this was a day where Bitcoin went from $15,974.95 to $10,400 fucking dollars. That's literally almost $5,500 in one fucking day. Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding? That is so insane. That is so fucking crazy to think about that. Oh my God. Oh my God. Seriously, I've never seen any other market do anything like that ever. Maybe on a percentage basis, obviously, but even then, I mean, this was a pretty hefty move. Yeah, about 30. Oh my God. 37.5% in one day. In one day. In one day. In one fucking day. That is the opportunity. That is the magicness of Bitcoin. Anyways, my point is that if we enter back above that region, we can see moves like that. We can see moves like that once again. It's not going to be too likely, of course, but speaking of expected moves, let's actually go on over here, fix this chart up a little bit. Shout out to ByBit for this one. And this is your chart of expected moves on the daily, and we only have it on the daily right now. Don't want to fuck around with it too much, but within about the 68 percentile region, or sorry, not 68 percentile, but 68, within the first standard deviation, which is about 68%, probability, we have about between about our range would be what? It would be. Let me see. Oh, it's actually not showing it on the left-hand side. That's okay, though. That's okay. It would be about 11,000 to 11,700. And the second standard deviation would take us from about 10,550 to 12,000. And the third standard deviation would take us all the way from 10,250 to 12,500. So today, the second and third standard deviation very, very rarely happen. If you can actually back test this, going back all the way out over here, they do happen every once in a while, but very, very rarely. So I would say that the range today probably going to be capped off right around that first standard deviation, which is, guess what? Where is it? Oh my God, it's at 11,700, exactly where the measure move is on the lower time frames, if you do remember. So again, a lot of things are kind of lining up with that region, and I would say that I would say that it's going to be an area at the very least of profit taking for people if you do get there. So keep that one in mind. But of course, with the higher time frames, we really need to wait for them to actually close. So until we actually start closing dailies above that area, it's still, I'd be cautious with the lower time frames. I would certainly be a lot more cautious with them, just because we are seeing warning signs. We are seeing warning signs here right now, although still I'd still say things do point up. Although then again, I mean, as I've been talking throughout this video, we've kind of already hit a lot of. We've actually had some nice moves. At 11,400 we got up there so far, and remember the range is from about 11,400 to about 11,700. So. It's going to be a long day of watching this one, but so far so good. Again, very constructive. This is a nice ascending triangle, and measure move still has some more to go, technically speaking. Doesn't mean that it always gets hit, but there is something very important on the board right now that we actually have been not discussing, and that is the longs and shorts. Shorts are back up around 29,000 open shorts versus longs, which are 25,500 open longs, and that means that a lot of these guys actually took profits. So I am curious how many of these guys are hedged. It's about 2.7 thousand, so we really got a little over 26,000, 26 and a quarter, we'll call it, versus 25 and a half. This is still an imbalance in the favor of the shorts. So what does that mean? That means that shorts are basically rocket fuel at this price point. If the liquidation engine wants to get going, as we do have a decent amount on the table. And in fact, when we look at it in chart format, right on over here, come on, baby, there it is. Whoops, wrong chart. There we nope, also wrong chart. Also wrong chart. Right chart. Yes. Okay, great one, Krown. Good talking to yourself in the third person, you fucking moron. That's how I talk to myself. Jesus Christ, man. It's like, no wonder I have low self-esteem. Anyways, so with regards to this and what we're looking at right here, we do see that shorts have just been basically parabolic ever since the 11th of June. And even more so in recent times, they're actually starting to get into a little bit more of the higher territory. I'd say 30,000 where they start to come onto the radar as quote unquote high. Above 40,000, it's like critically high, amounting to major massive up moves that we've seen in the past during this area right over here, basically around the low of Bitcoin in 2018, and then this guy right over here. And with regards to price action, we can look at this and very quickly see that most of these guys getting trapped since about the 11th of June, and even more aggressively since the 19th of June. So price point during those entries were on the 11th of June all the way down here at about $8,000. So these guys are literally more than $3,000 underwater right now. And the guys who entered around the 17th and beyond, so have an average price somewhere around like $9,000. 9,000 to 10,000, or maybe, I mean 10,000 at best. So a lot of these guys trapped, and that's the thing, is that this market can now, it kind of has them at their will, right? It kind of has them at their mercy, because these people are so underwater that we know one of two things happen. You can either run price up, liquidate these people, and collect that, or what happens is Bitcoin does, if the market movers do want to take profit here and do want to force price action back down, which is not looking, it doesn't look likely from this current trajectory right now, but if that were to happen, I'd be looking for a move back down to 10,000, or to basically just to the next support. And you're going to see a lot of people cover. Remember that CMEs do have a nice gap right around the $10,000 level, 10,000 even. So not only is it psychological, but now we have structural areas in there as well. But again, I'm not looking towards that getting hit right here, right now. The only way that I'd look for 10,000 to get hit is if we took out the 10,550 support to the downside. In fact, you could actually even front run that a little bit, maybe around 10,600. That's not too much of a front run, to be fair. But my point is that Bitcoin has a lot of work to do before that's even a consideration. But if we do break this area, then yes, 10,000 would be the target. Also fill the CMEs, and also going to be a lot of people covering around there. So that's a whole dynamic of the market right now. Is it comes in like a stair-step fashion. You get the people trying to fight the trend, then you have the people creating the trend. First, it starts with the people creating the trend. They do their accumulation, they mark things up, and then you get the counter trend traders in this scenario where they try to short against it. And what happens then? Now the market movers have the ball in their court once again, so they can trap people because they're showing their hands by basically putting it on on exchange, and it shows up in these metrics. And now and now they can run it up if they want to, and which will create even more FOMO, which will create even more buying, which will create liquidations, and that whole conglomeration of events just cascades itself. And I'm sure that you've been probably noticing on major media channels like CNBC and whatever else is out there nowadays, that they're talking about crypto all the fucking time. Once again, the whole Facebook Libra coin is raising a lot of awareness as well. So it's once again a hot topic, and that can certainly induce create even more FOMO, especially at these levels. Because remember, like when Bitcoin was at 20,000 for the first time, everyone could get away with saying, oh, this is a bubble. It's going to be like tulips, and we're never going to go higher, and we're going down to zero, and that's going to be it. But and that's in a way you can understand where people are coming from when they say that, even if they're perhaps they're lesser educated, they just don't understand. But my point is that when that same person who's like, oh yeah, fuck this Bitcoin bullshit, down at 3,000 after 20,000, haha, fuck you, and then he sees on the headlines on CNBC, Bitcoin now at $12,000. It's like, what the fuck? I thought this shit was bullshit. But that sort of thing would really have an emotional impact, I'd imagine, on the average person. Anyways, with regards to that's all hearsay. That's all secondary and tertiary type considerations. We need to focus on more tangible type things, which we've covered just about everything right now. And I would say that Bitcoin still shows some upwards momentum on the lower time frames. Although, and technically, yes, 11,700 is still an area, still a target area, but we are in a major just zone of more macro resistance, which does make me apprehensive in this area. I don't want to be adding on to positions here, but if we can clear this next hump, if we can clear this area right over here, yes, there will be stops along the way to the upside, but generally I'd be looking for Bitcoin to have some pretty aggressive move back up to the upside once again. And we can talk, like I said, we can talk about targets, but generally I'd just be generally been bullish this whole way through right over here, but I'd be, I guess I can say this at this point in time. I'd generally be looking for a move back up to the prior highs, essentially. 17,000, 20,000 would be the next major areas. Again, though, I can't stress this enough, though. We're not at that point just yet. We need to get over this area first and foremost, and then, then it becomes a topic of consideration. I just want to outline this once again. 0.5 Fibonacci retracement, double top in February 2017. Nice horizontal level coming in right around here. Volume profile also showing activity. And if we go back on over to the expected moves chart, we do see that the first standard deviation is currently right around that region as well. If we go back right around here, hey, what just changed on this guy? Whoops, must have fucked this one up. Oh, that's why. I'm looking at the wrong thing. Let me go back on to Mr. Bitcoin, and hey, what are you doing? Hey, what are you doing? There we go. There we go. Yeah, in the first standard deviation coming around that area right as well. So that is my point, is that this is a major pivot on the market. If we do take out this pivot to the upside, I will become extremely bullish for a move. Technically speaking, the next target would be somewhere right around here, around the 618, which is around 13,300, and then above there, then we got the 786 right around 16,000, and then basically 20,000 after that. But my point is that I'd generally be still bullish, I suppose, and I'd just be looking for Bitcoin to kind of float its way onto its prior highs. But until we actually clear this area, it's better to be defensive along this area than not. You do see the reaction at the 382 from our first pass right over here. It really sent us into about a couple weeks long consolidation right over here. Obviously, we ended up breaking that one to the upside, but my point is that it did take its time. So I'm not necessarily sure if right now is the time to be aggressive. I'd only be aggressive if we start to close dildos above this region right now. Until that happens, agnosticism is perhaps the best route. But as we showed on the lower time frames, we do have tentacles pointing things above that region. So understand the domino of effects that lead on into this, and it can create this next cascade of events, with the shorts piling up like that, with us right at major resistances, but also turning up all of our momentum oscillators once again, and also showing some bullish reaccumulation patterns on the lower time frames leading up even higher than that. So it could have that carry on over into it, but I need to see confirmation first. With at the very least a daily dildo close above 11,500. I'd feel a lot more confident if we could close a weekly above there, but I do believe that we close a 2-day tonight. And let me just confirm this. Let's see, right on over here. We do. Yeah. Hey, okay, great. So if we can confirm a 2-day dildo above about 11,500, that'd be significantly more compelling to myself. But for right now, as you can see, Bitcoin right there, it's gonna have a chance tonight. That's gonna be the big news for tonight. But lower time frames, I suppose, is what's most actionable right now, and still looking like they got it. Again, a little bit extended, but hey, still pointing a little bit higher. So with that said, let's get on over here to CMEs. I'm curious how CMEs are looking. CMEs are just so much of an easier chart to read. The second that we took out yesterday's high at about 11,160, that was your token, or that was your ticket towards a little bit higher. Looking at CMEs, I'm curious where this one lines up. Yeah, CME resistance is going to be right around 11,700. In fact, right on it, right on the money here. We do see that's where our prior highs were. So 11,700 now actually line up with CMEs, which I really do like. We do see daily stocks on CMEs actually even having a little bit more room than our spot markets, but still in the same area. It's still kind of in the same territory where it's a little bit more scary. And of course, with the daily RSI as well, we're going to be creating some bearish divergence, most extremely likely. But until we set in a local high, which we do not have just yet, I would not be front running that. I'm sure a lot of people looked at this yesterday and they said, this is a great case study. A lot of people asking about local highs and how to judge them. I'm sure a lot of people saw this last night and said, oh, doji dildo. We have a doji dildo, and that means reversal, baby. And you might be right some of the time. In fact, a lot of the time you will be right. But how do you confirm a doji dildo reversal? You need to get continuation below the low. And did we get continuation below the low? No. In fact, we just overshot the top, which that's really fucking bullish when you see something like that. So fair enough. Anyways, as always, just ripping on the divergence fuckboys. We have bearish divergence. I've been looking at Investopedia all day long. It's like I played my bearish divergence right here, and now I have no money. You should try divergence too. It's like, Jesus Christ, man. All these sorts of things just perpetuated by people who probably mean well. I don't think that anyone's like deliberately misleading, but I'd imagine that anyone who's been trading for a while, they're going to tell you that no, that's not divergence until you actually confirm that. Of course, also the volume fuckboys as well, just going absolutely insane. I mean, I'm sure that they love this one. The volume's so low, we must fall down now. This rally's being held up on fumes. Like, all right, we'll tell the liquidation engine that when it starts to come around, because I don't think it's going to be as forgiving. And also, you can't really talk to it because, well, it's fucking an inanimate object. GBDC, I don't know if we already looked at this one, but taking a major leg up. However, closing a nasty shooting star dildo right here. So same thing here. If we do take out the low, at $14.47, I would look for a move back down to the $13.50 region, perhaps even lower than that. But for right now, GBDC, really, well, it did hit our $15.50 target. I think I said 15 and no, I said $16. So we didn't necessarily hit it just yet. I do think this one actually, it's going to fall whatever spot markets do, but perhaps you get a little bit of a time of of a time traveler trade right there. Let's go check out the other top shitcoins of this market and starting off with Mrs. Litecoin. How's this beautiful bitch doing? In fact, not as beautiful as the rest of the market. Let me take off the volume profile. You do see that it's having a little bit of a struggle here on our daily. We do see daily Stokes headed down, and in fact, the daily Stokes are going to be breaking this trend line right here. Granted, any sort of any sort of close within this region or lower. We do see daily Jewel actually did give a sell signal right over here, a decent one, not super perfect, but is getting played out as we can see now, and does kind of look to me like it wants to come back down and test 130ish region. So Litecoin's a little bit of an outlier. I was not expecting something like this. However, on lower time frames, while I'm looking at higher time frames, and I can say that 130 looks like it wants to come back down around there. Technically speaking, I would not take that trade right now. I would only take that trade if we close a 4-hour dildo below this trend line right here, 133.25. Yes, it's technically still in an ascending triangle on the lower time frames, but the higher time frames are looking a little bit tired. So I would be cautious with this one. But technically speaking, the downside trade is not really available in my mind's eye as long as we're above this area right over here. If we do crack this area, then yes, 130 and then probably 120 would be the next couple targets. But for right now, technically still in a bullish reaccumulation pattern in an ascending triangle with a measured move actually all the way towards 155. So I suppose it's possible that the rest of the market pulls through and brings Mrs. Litecoin back up. But again, if it breaks this area right over here, I would be looking for those moves down 130 and then 120. Until that happens, technically speaking, still generally okay, I suppose. Although it doesn't look too healthy right now, but that's just my opinion. I don't trade my opinion. I trade technical analysis. Looking at SPYs, looking at traditional markets, we do see traditional markets cooling off a little bit last night, but I'd be looking for them to probably pop back down and test about 290. What is this, like 293, 292, spot 8 support. Let's see if we can actually test that support, confirm this as support, and then try and move a little bit higher. But again, it's not the daily that I'll be going off for something like that. It's the weekly, and the weekly has been looking damn good. In fact, the weekly just looks like continuation to me. So hard for me to be bearish on this one, and I think that area does get bought if we come back down around there and we get some continuation to the upside. Weekly Stokes going to have a fresh cross to the upside. Weekly RSI regaining the exponential and looking constructive within this region as well. And if you go back to the monthly, we are days away from potentially closing a bullish engulfing monthly. I mean, this is so fucking insane. It's not insane. I mean, it's going to be really, really bullish if that does happen, of course. But for right now, all eyes on the monthly as we have a few days left to go. Let's go check out Mr. Buterol. How's he doing? Where's Mr. Buterol? 315, 314. Again, monthly starting off right over here. We do have that nice lift off of the yellow 20-month exponential moving average, just like we saw in Bitcoin, and that's kind of one of the big reasons why I was harping on it for so long on Bitcoin. Right over here, we regained it in April, and then May and June have just been fucking lunar shots to the tune of about 120% now to the upside. And not Mrs. Litecoin, but Mr. Buterol right over here, getting that first dildo closing above last month in May, so a little bit of a laggard, and then using this month to rally off of it so far. And from a monthly perspective, really not too much stopping us from this area right around about 390 to 400 bucks, or sorry, not even 400, about 430. Lower time frames, however, is going to have a lot more considerations. But for right now, I'd be bullish on Mr. Buterol as long as he's above especially as long as he's above 275. But even above 295, I'd say that's fine. That's fine enough as well. Not 295, 292 actually. Sorry. We do see all major moving averages are starting to migrate their way above the blue 377 exponential moving average. So I'd say that longer term that sets in the structure. I do like what I'm seeing here. I do think that this is just trying to flag out right now on the daily, and daily, weekly, monthly all look like they want some continuation. Areas of interest, like I said, are going to be about 370 to 370 to 400 on the on the next sort of medium term outlook, and longer term I'd say about 480 to 460 region. As we looked at earlier, we do see weekly Stokes still way up there. Jesus Christ. We do see weekly RSI building itself up as well. Actually, just having a nice little constructive pullback right on over here, and then upwards and onwards once again. I mean, this one looks like it wants some more. I haven't even looked at the lower time frames just yet, but lower time frames looking very similar to Bitcoin. Actually, a little bit of a laggard as well, but looking like it's trying to reaccumulate in this region. And of course, remember, as long as it's above 293 or 292 and a half to 293. I do roll with the upside here. If we do crack this area, then yes, we can talk about downside targets to 275, and then we'll reassess from there. But for right now, generally just looking up. just kind of filling out the space right now. Let's go check out what Link is doing. Link having a nice little move right off here, reaccumulating right around the 15,700-ish areas we spoke about last week. I actually didn't check this one. I didn't check this one yesterday, but very obviously getting picked up right around here. I think I said probably comes back down to about 15,000. Came back down to about 15,500. So close enough is close enough. I'm not going to be super exact with these ones, nor do I claim to be. But as you can see, over a long period of time, just stair stepping its way up, which is constructive, and we do like that. And daily looks like it wants to probably work its way back up towards 20,000 satoshis, and ultimately this thing does look like it's probably got some more upside overall. Then again, weekly does look like a little bit of a rejection last week. Then again, I struggled with this one. I do struggle with this one. Weekly Stoke's kind of looking weak here, but I think I'd pull back from saying anything else about it. Overall, roll with it until not. 16,700 is the support. As long as that area is held up, I think that the direction's to the upside, probably somewhere around 20 to 21,000 satoshis. Cardano, what are we looking at over here? Rejection and fall through to the downside. So Link is kind of like an outlier with the way that it's with the way it's kind of like playing an up move right now. Whereas most of the market looks some variation of Cardano, where it's just kind of holding on to its lows and making new lows. This one's hit all my downside targets, and unfortunately I think that it's going to create some more relatively soon. Just kind of back testing this for a second. Yeah, I'd be bearish on Cardano. I'd be very bearish on Cardano as long as you're below 890 satoshis. If you can take out 890 satoshis to the upside, I'd be looking for a move back up to about 1,000 satoshis, and then we can reassess from there. But for right now, looking like it wants more continuation of the downside, and really not really looking weak. And in fact, let's just kind of wrap up all of the altcoins in this one chart right over here on the Bitcoin dominance chart, which is it's fucking bullish, man. It's fucking bullish. And with each and every passing hurdle that Bitcoin has to the upside, the alts are not going to look as good versus satoshis. They will rally versus US dollar. In fact, I can tell you that Cardano versus the dollar looks fucking good. I think I have like a target of maybe 12.5 to 13 cents on that one, like longer term. But right here, on the Bitcoin dominance chart, things are going to get shreked. They're going to get cream pied once again, most likely, as Bitcoin, looks like it really wants to take a leg up here. What else do we have? We got BNB. We haven't looked at BNB today. BNB weekly still looks good to me on BNB. Daily, a little bit less so, but looks like it wants to come back down and test $36 support. $36 support. I would be looking for a little bit of a bounce there, but kind of losing its structure here a little bit. Really don't. I mean, if it does lose $36, it's still not the end of the day. It's still not the end of the rally. We still got this guy right over here, but would imply a much more, a much more aggressive move to the downside before popping back up at around $33.50. So this area absolutely critical at about $36 even. If we do lose that area, then yes, I think that it comes back down to about 33.5. But for right now, give it the benefit of the doubt. Gonna follow the rest of the market most likely. Would have expected to see, wanted to see fall through after this hammer dildo right over here yesterday, but that's not what we're seeing right now. Anyways, what else we got? Zcash. What's Zcash doing? 107.5, losing it as well. Actually looking very similar to very similar to BNB actually. CZ token 105.5 is our support right over here. If that area does break, I'd be looking for a move back down to $99. 99 bucks. But for right now, you can see that this area is still being held above. It is still being respected. So I'd roll with it until told otherwise. But if this area does break, then yes, $99 and then $88.5 is going to be the next couple pairs of targets. But for right now, weekly still looks fine to me. The higher time frames are fine. Daily doesn't look as fine. 2-day, not as fine either. Week 3-day, not as fine either. The weekly is the only one that looks good. In hindsight, the weekly is the only one that looks good. But I would still say, as long as those areas are held, 131, 130-ish area are the next targets. Bcash looking a little bit. Looking a little bit better as well over here as I struggle for my own watery voice. 1 second while I take a sip of this water. Oh man, that ground beef is taking up all my salivas today. We do see daily Stokes actually still to the upside and looking constructive within this region. Same sort of idea here, as long as it holds above this pivot, which is escaping me right now. There we go. About 455, 456. I do think, generally direction is up. If we do lose this area, then probably comes all the way back down to about 430. and then we'll reassess from there. But I'd still be having a target of around 530-ish region. We almost hit there last week. I still think that we do hit there. And second target would be, a little bit more long-term at around about $600, give or take a few bucks. Tron Cash looking good here, hitting our 4-cent target actually to the T. Lovely. And I do think that this one has more to go. Weekly Stokes, plenty of room here to roll. And weekly RSI looking very constructive, plenty of room as well. Going over here to the daily. Daily looks good, is approaching resistance, so probably do get a little bit of a pullback here, but we're above all major moving averages, and we are switched into a bullish posturing. So I do like what I see here. So if it does pull back a little bit, I do think that it gets bottom back up, and we do take out this 4-cent resistance overall. And this is actually going to be looking like a cup and handle right here. And where would the measure move be pointing us next? Actually about 4.6 to almost 5 cents. So I do think that Tron Cash actually is going to put in a move here. Again, at a major pivot, just like Bitcoin, right around this 4-cent region. But if it can take that out, really not too much stopping it from 5 cents more longer term. Neo, what's Neo doing? Hey, hitting the 20. Did we hit $20 target? We got 1980. Okay, pretty close. Pretty close. I do think that it tries again here towards $20.50 zone. This looks good. EOS, what's EOS doing? A little bit of a laggard as well. I do think that ultimately it does work its way back towards 8 spot 10, 8.25-ish region. But for right now, a little bit of a laggard. Looks kind of like it wants to test back down towards 709 on the daily first before anything else. What about 4 hour? What about a lower time frame? Yeah, still constructive within this region, but taking its time. Still coiling it up in a sense. Mr. Ripple's nipples, what are we doing here? Not really much. Looking the same as just about everything else, came back down, retested the breakout trend line. So far, good reaction off there, and I'd roll with this as a breakout. We're above all major moving averages. We got that great divergence between the red 10 symbol and the yellow 21, and we do see moving averages actually migrating above this trend line as well. So I do like that. Measure move on this one still pointed up towards about 53 cents. Medium term, longer term about 60 cents. As this looks like one massive cup and handle right here. So yes, I do identify it as as likely to hit that target over time. Of course, it's not happening. Probably not happening today. Monero Cash. What's Monero Cash doing? Yeah, a little bit of a starter step as well, but this one also was a little bit more strong last week, so it did already kind of hit our targets, right? Weekly still looks fine to me. Still looks like it wants to hit towards what is this, like 127.5, 130? Yeah, still looks about right. Stellar, what's Stellar doing? A little bit of a laggard as well, but still in this bull flag formation right here. Really want to see a daily doodle close above 13 cents. If that can happen, I'd be having a target of 15 cents overall. And with that said, let's get back on over to Mr. Bitcoin. Bitcoin backing off those highs a little bit more, back down below 11,300. But I'm going to go back down to lower time frames myself. And okay, all right. We have a little bit of a long-legged doji being worked on right now with 4 minutes left on this hourly doodle close, but it's just an hourly, right? I really want to be looking at the 4 hour at the very least. But hey, a little bit of sign of weakness right here. However, I would not really consider it this is really, hearsay until we actually close hourlies below this 11,150 pivot. And then I'll start to cover my positions once again. But for right now, okay. I think it is worth mentioning that the crypto fear and greed index is at yearly highs right now. 87 is the highest that we've been in over a year and a half. Looking at this chart right over here, we can see very easily that it is getting a little bit extended, but just like in your bear market, we spent a lot of time in the extreme fearful zone. We can spend a lot of time in the extreme greedy zone right over here as well. But it is a warning sign from a more long-term perspective, not long-term, but medium-term perspective, I suppose is the right terminology. But anyways, I do want to leave you off with this. Structural things from the higher time frame perspective still very much in place, and that is what kind of sets the tone. So understand, are you a short-term trader, medium-term trader, or a long-term trader? I can't tell you what you are. I can only tell you what I am, and that's probably not even useful to you anyways. But long-term still looking for upside. Short-term, medium-term, we're approaching major resistances that are going to be pivots on the market. So I would be cautious within this region. If you want more actionable areas, I would say that 11,700 is the measure move off this formation that we saw right on over here. Again, pointing right, about 11,700. Not always guaranteed to hit those, but we do have some pointing around there. But it's really going to come down to where the daily and the 2-day close later tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern time. If we close above that 11,500 pivot, we will very likely enter into a new phase in this market. Yes, I would like to see some higher time frames than that close as well, but that's a damn good start, to be fair, and we'd like to see some rippage if that could happen. So for right now, Bitcoin's still getting that continuation, still looking fine, and I'll leave you off with that one. I'll be back on later with some more live stream